We're leaving Yarmouth early this Saturday morning, at 8:47 AM. Neither David nor I have ever been on quite as long as the train journey we'll experience today. Our journey will take over 9 hours, and we'll cover almost 360 miles, passing through over 10 different counties, travelling from near to the most easterly point of England, right across to the most westerly train station located on the Penwith Peninsula. Travelling to Norwich for the first part of our journey, passing through Acle and Lingwood, arriving in Norwich City train station at 9:17 AM, with just over 10 minutes until our next train. Once on our second train today, we leave Norwich at 9:30 AM, heading south, via Diss, Stowmarket, and Ipswich. After only a short while, we cross over the county border into Essex. Travelling through Manningtree, Colchester, and Chelmsford. If you wish to visit Flatford Mill and Constable Country, Manningtree train station is a great way to get here, with Flatford only a couple of miles away, and many lovely walks to enjoy in the area, where you'll be able to see some of the locations featured in his paintings. As the morning progresses, we get closer and closer to London. Passing through Stratford train station, on the outskirts of London, picking up more people. And then passing the London Olympic Village, heading towards Liverpool Street Station. Once off the train, at the end of the second leg of today's journey, and out of the London Liverpool Street Station into the hustle and bustle of London, it's a quick bus journey and walk to Paddington train station. This didn't go quite as planned, and having left the bus near Baker Street Junction, we briskly walked along Marylebone Road and Praed Street. We arrived at Paddington train station, with only minutes to spare. We found our train and started the final leg of today's journey, leaving London Paddington train station at 1:03 PM, on a 5-hour 15-minute journey, across some of England's most stunning countryside. After picking up passengers at Reading station at 1:30 PM, we headed across West Berkshire and Wiltshire. Passing Westbury Hill and Westbury White Horse, which only a few weeks ago, we visited with glorious weather during our late spring holiday. I'd like to talk a bit about the gentleman who, if it wasn't for he, today wouldn't have happened. I'm referring to Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Isambard Kingdom Brunel was a renowned 19th century engineer. His feats and achievements have had a lasting legacy and revolutionized how we approach engineering, transport, and construction. Isambard was born on the 9th of April 1806. From a young age, he had a talent for engineering and mathematics. Encouraged by his father, he learnt how to depict model drawings of buildings and had begun learning Euclidean geometry by the age of 8. I'll mention more about Brunel later. As we headed across Wiltshire, passing through the countryside that we'd travelled around during April and May, through Hungerford, Marlborough and Westbury, and Frome. When we visited back in the spring, we travelled by car, and managed to see many delightful locations and places of interest in and around Wiltshire at that time. This video of our train journey down to Cornwall only covers some of the highlights that are visible along this famous train journey, which is part of the Great Western Railway. I've also tried to show some of the stations to help clarify the route. Eventually, we crossed the border into Somerset. And the next station was Taunton. Then, across another county border into Devon, and Tiverton Parkway station. After being educated in Hove and Caen, Isambard was sent to France to apprentice under Louis Breguet, France's most celebrated maker of watches and scientific instruments. Isambard oversaw the design and construction of many bridges and viaducts throughout his career. He built Maidenhead Bridge across the River Thames, the Wye Bridge at Chepstow, plus the Royal Albert, that crosses the River Tamar. The next train station is Exeter St. David's. One of Isambard Kingdom Brunel's defining achievements was the Clifton Suspension Bridge. In 1830, he designed a 700-foot bridge to span across the Avon River. In 1833, Brunel was appointed as chief engineer of the Great Western Railway. This ambitious project aimed to link London to Bristol by railway. Brunel spent days researching and surveying the geography of the 200 kilometers route. He controversially chose the flattest approach through Reading and Swindon, which at that time were only small villages. These settlements later became hugely influential in the construction of the railway works and helped turn them into booming cities. It is around this part of the train journey, where we're approximately halfway, as we've been traveling since leaving London, for just over 2.5 hours now, and we're now heading towards the Dawlish coastal rail line, which for many is one of the most memorable highlights of this train journey. I'm covering the complete section of the Dawlish train journey on this video. There is another video that shows extra video footage of this journey. I hope you enjoy these videos of our travels. The Dawlish train track is only one of a handful of areas of train line that runs beside the sea in the UK, and is under constant threat from the sea and storms. It's been on the news in the recent years, when storms in the English Channel washed some of the materials away, making the rail track buckle and fracture, where it had to be repaired and strengthened, which became a major news story at that time. It is frequent during bad weather that waves cover the whole train whilst travelling along the Dawlish line. Plus, there's also been landslides caused by heavy rainfall, where parts of the cliffs have had to be strengthened. This is both David's and my first time along this stunning section of railway. It's certainly a journey that we'll never forget. The Dawlish railway line opened in 1847, and it is a critical part of the UK rail network as it connects Devon and Cornwall with the rest of the UK. It is famous mainly for its scenic route along the Dawlish seawall and the English Channel. Its history has been marked by both engineering marvel and vulnerability to severe weather. Initially built in the mid-1840s by Brunel, the line faced challenges from the outset, including construction delays and damage during storms. The line's resilience was severely tested back in 2014, when a major storm caused extensive damage, highlighting the need for significant upgrades to protect the route. The River Exe flows for 60 miles from its source, which is on Exmoor, in Somerset. Historically, its lowest bridging point was the Old Exe Bridge in Exeter, the largest settlement on the river. Now there is a viaduct for the M5 motorway which is about 2 miles south of the city centre. On the opposite side of the river lies Lympston village, with its harbour on the estuary of the river, at the outlet of Wootton Brook between the cliffs of Red Breccia. Nearby is La Ronde, which is an 18th century, 16-sided cottage that was built for two spinster cousins. It is owned by the National Trust and open to visitors. Next to which is Exmouth. This town is both a port and seaside resort, on the east bank at the mouth of the River Exe, about 11 miles southeast of Exeter, in Devon. Brunel, whilst constructing the Great Western Railway, of which we are now travelling along, found that although most of the landscape was reasonably flattish, there were areas, like rivers, valleys, and hills, where he had to apply his expertise to overcome these problems by building a series of viaducts, bridges, and tunnels. One of the most notable is the Box Tunnel in Wiltshire, which, at 1.8 miles, was the longest railway tunnel of its time. You can find the Box Tunnel between Chippenham and the city of Bath. Earlier today, we started this leg of our journey to Cornwall, from London's Paddington station. It was in 1838 that Brunel began work, with architect Matthew Digby on the design of Paddington train station. As the main terminal for the Great Western Railway, Brunel wanted the station to be the largest of its class, and similar in design of the recently completed Crystal Palace. The first train departed on the 16th of January 1854. The station is still seen as a resounding success today. Devon and Cornwall have miles and miles of magnificently varied rugged coastline, which dominate this magical corner of Britain. With its popular seaside resorts and its pristine beaches with crystal clear turquoise blue sea, the secluded coves and unspoiled fishing villages rich in history. In contrast, there are lush exotic gardens, and wild terrain of the moorland interior, dotted with tools and historic remains of its mining past. With the Arthurian legends and smuggling history, this corner of Britain is one of the most beautiful and exciting areas to visit. I'd just like to mention what it says about Dawlish, in my Bradshaw guidebook, dated 1866. Dawlish, one of the stations of the South Devon Railway, is one of the prettiest places along the coast to pass a quiet summer month. Within the last century, rising from a mere fishing village to the dignity of a fashionable watering place, it's become extended from the valley in which it lies to considerable distance east and west, and though the incursion of the railroad has materially affected the fine expanse of the esplanade, it still possesses an excellent beach, bounded on the east by the Langston Cliffs, and on the west by the rocks familiarly known by the appellation of the Parson and Clark. The bathing is exceedingly good, and the facilities afforded for its enjoyment admirably arranged. Small ships negotiate swift currents to reach the quay at Teignmouth, from which Dartmoor granite was shipped to build Old London Bridge back in 1831. Victorian and Regency houses overlook the beach. On the other side of the river lies the beautiful little Sheldon village, with its colour-washed cottages that line a maze of streets above the Teignmouth estuary. Ness Cove can be reached by the Smuggler's Tunnel. Above the tunnel entrance is Sheldon Wildlife Trust, home for small mammals and exotic birds. We cross over the River Tyne, just before Newton Abbot train station. And heading south, we pass over the River Dart, just before we arrive at Taunt station. Its correct pronunciation is TOTNES. Plymouth is a port city in Devon. It is located between the rivers Plym and Tamar, about 36 miles southwest of Exeter, or 193 miles from London. Originally a thriving market town called Sutton, it was formally renamed in 1439, when it was made a borough. It has played a significant role in British history, notably in 1588, when an English fleet based here defeated the Spanish Armada, and in 1620, it was the departure point for the Pilgrim Fathers to the New World. Plymouth Dockyard, now known as Devonport Dockyard, has a rich history as a key naval base in the UK, founded in 1690. It played a vital role in maintaining the Royal Navy's Western Squadron during wartime, and it supported naval operations during the Napoleonic Wars. The 19th century saw significant expansion with the addition of Keyham Steam Yard, and later the Keyham Extension. It was renamed in 1843 to Devonport. It played an important role during both World Wars and also became a site for nuclear submarine refitting. Today Devonport remains one of the UK's operational naval bases. We are now approaching the River Tamar and the Royal Albert Railway Bridge. The River Tamar separates Devon and Cornwall in the southwest of England. The river is 61 miles long, with its source at Woolly Moor, Morwenstow. At the mouth of the river, it flows into the Hamows, before entering Plymouth Sound, which is a bay in the English Channel. The name Tamar, or Tamar, was mentioned by Ptolemy in the 2nd century AD in his geography. The name means great water. The Royal Albert Bridge, which was designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, is a railway bridge that spans across the River Tamar between Plymouth, Devon, and Saltash, Cornwall. It was opened on the 2nd of May 1859, as part of the Great Western Railway project. Before the Royal Albert Bridge, the primary way to cross the river was by ferry. There were other older bridges further upriver, like at Polson, but unsuitable for railway lines. The bridge is another crucial link for Cornwall with the rest of the UK. It replaced the Saltash ferry. The Cornish Railway initially proposed a crossing via Torpoint Ferry, but this was rejected. Brunel then proposed the Saltash position higher upstream, and his design was accepted. The bridge combines arch, suspension, truss, and beam bridge elements, with two prominent elliptical tubes forming the main spans. Construction began in 1854 and took 5 years, with the main spans being built on shore, and then floated into position before being jacked up into their final position. The bridge officially opened on the 2nd of May 1859. Later, on September 5 of the same year, Brunel was on board the SS Great Eastern, one of his most notable creations, and the largest ship ever built at that time. As the ship tested its engines, before setting sail for New York, Brunel had a stroke while on deck. He returned to his home, at 18 Duke Street, London, where he died on the 15th of September 1859. He was 53 years old. He was buried in the Brunel family vault at Kensal Green Cemetery, London. Memorials were quickly made, including a plaque at each end of the Royal Albert Bridge, which had only opened a few months earlier. These plaques can still be seen today. Isambard Kingdom Brunel is still regarded as one of Britain's greatest men of all time. Truro is a cathedral city, 232 miles from London. It grew as a trade port and through the Cornish tin mining. The Cathedral of the Blessed Virgin Mary was built between 1880 and 1910, to a Gothic revival designed by John Loughborough Pearson, on the site of the former parish church of St. Mary. We're now passing St. Michael's Mount, and we'll be arriving at Penzance train station shortly, after over 9 hours of travelling since leaving Great Yarmouth this morning. This really is the start of our summer holiday. It's definitely been raining here, but I'm hopeful that the weather will improve during our week's stay in Penzance. Penzance is a town and port within the Penwith district of Cornwall, and is its most westerly major town. It's 225 miles from London. Penzance is sheltered in Mounts Bay, facing southeast onto the English Channel. To the west is the fishing port of Newlyn.